So as we head into another international break, that is how the Championship table is currently lining up. So it is West Brom and Preston North End currently leading the way. But we have a lot of action going on this weekend, which we are here to talk all about. So as always, get all your thoughts in the comments down below as to what you made of your team's performance this weekend. We've got a lot to go over. And as we are now going into an international break, if there are any videos that you'd like to see over the next couple of weeks, let me know in the comments down below. And before we do hop into anything, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. Leave a link in the top line of the description down below. Really cool football app, which you can go over and follow your side on there, whether you do support a team in the Championship or anyone in the footballing world. OneFootball's got you covered. Over on there, you can track all the games that are going on during the international break, and you can have a look at some of the games that we talk about in today's video in a little bit more depth. Really cool football app. I use it all the time. You can keep track of all the latest scores and good stuff like that. So like I said, OneFootball, leave a link in the top line of the description down below. And before we do get into the individual games, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then fair play. I had a pretty disappointing week. I didn't get any of mine right. I got quite a few of the results right, but none of the actual correct scorelines. It was a pretty tricky one. We had some quite unpredictable ones going on this week. So fair play if you did get any right, but without any further ado, let's hop in to talk about some of these games. So starting out with the early kick-off on Saturday, this one was always going to be a tense one between Forest and Derby. The home side winning it. Lewis Grabban scoring the only goal of the game after capitalising on a Jayden Bogle mistake in the second half. In the first half, there wasn't really all too much in it between these two sides. Derby started out fairly well for the first 10 minutes, forced Samba into a couple of saves. I felt like Derby losing Clark was a bit of a blow for this one. Bielik had to come back into defence then, and they brought Evans on. Without Bielik in midfield, they sort of lost the ability to press Forest, and that gave them a little bit more freedom in midfield. One player who really stood out to me for Nottingham Forest was Thiago Silva. I thought he was absolutely running the show for them. What I like about Silva is he's such a technically good player. You know, in those tight situations, he was absolutely brilliant at setting the tempo for them going forward. But whenever Derby would try and get physical with him and push him off the ball or anything, he was more than capable of standing up to that challenge. I think he's a brilliantly suited player to the Championship actually, and will only go on and get better for Forest as the season does go on. But like I said, the only goal of the game coming in the second half, a lapse of concentration from Bogle, who is, you know, a top player. I've spoken about him a lot on the channel so far this season. I really do rate him. A bit of a lapse of judgment for him, and if you're presenting Lewis Grabban with a chance like that, you know, one of the most lethal finishes in the league, he was always going to take that. And in the end, that was the only goal to separate the two sides. A couple more talking points. The Tom Lawrence challenge, possibly he could have been sent off for that. There are also some Derby fans who weren't happy with Ryan Yates and how he didn't get a yellow card for this one either. So a lot of talking points going into this one. I'm interested to see what you guys thought of it. And into the game at the bottom of the Championship, where it was Stoke beating Barnsley by 4-2. Michael O'Neill's first game in charge of Stoke certainly going to plan. I think he only had one short training session with them, but it seems to have made the world of difference. It was a side playing with much more passion and desire and tenacity going forward. They changed up the system for this one. They went for a 4-3-3, and it really seemed to have the effect on them. Barnsley, I know we're only in November, but that sort of feels like the first nail in the relegation coffin for them. Still only one win this season. They've got the worst defensive record in the league, and that was on full show for this one. You know, 4 mistakes led to 4 goals in this one. The first goal for Stoke, outrageous from Sam Clucas, scoring from the halfway line, lobbing Collins after he given the ball away cheaply from a free kick. They doubled their lead in the first half. Gregory from the penalty spot after Clucas was brought down. Barnsley did get back into it briefly in the second half, and they have shown glimpses so far this season that they can play football going forward. You know, there was some decent passing play in the build-up to that goal, but once again, they let themselves down, this time from a corner coming in. Joe Allen making it 3-1 to Stoke, and then Sam Clucas really wrapping the game up, making it 4-1 with another absolutely outrageous strike from outside the box. Sam Clucas has been one of the few players so far this season for Stoke who really can take some credit. I think he has been excellent, and once again, he was absolutely running the show for them in this one. Barnsley did get another goal back late on, but by then they were already dead and buried. For Stoke now, they'll be hoping that this will be the start of something, and you know, with the international break now, O'Neill's going to have the chance to work with this group of players a lot more. He'll look to get his ideas across, and to be honest, I think that their next 6 or so fixtures, they've got a decent run in there, and there's certainly a possibility for them to be picking up quite a few points, and hopefully for them going ahead and getting out of the relegation zone. As for Barnsley though, not sure I can say the same at the moment. I mean, they need to sort this manager situation out. Then we have Fulham getting back to winning ways with all 3 points at St Andrews. Not been an easy place to go to, so that 3 points really can't be underestimated for Fulham, and a great way for them to bounce back after that horror show last time against Hull City. Interestingly enough, they did bring Rodak back into the starting 11 after his red card against Middlesbrough, and I have to say that was the right choice. I thought he was absolutely excellent in this game. Made one really good save in the first half, and an absolutely fantastic save from Djukovic in the second half. It was a towering header from him, but he just managed to get a brilliant reflex save and tip it over the post. But Fulham for this one, I thought were looking much better. Mitrovic going forward, causing Birmingham all sorts of problems when he's in the mood. I mean, he is probably the best striker in the the league. There's no beating around the bush for that one, is there? Although their goal was sort of gifted to them, it was once again another Lee Camp mistake. And I mean, to be fair to Lee Camp, he has made a couple of decent saves for Birmingham so far this season, but if you're looking at, you know, this game, you're looking at the Wigan game a few weeks ago, the ball came into the box, Lee Camp did have two hands on it, then spilt it, and then Mitrovic had a tap in to make it 1-0 to Fulham. Birmingham did have some chances, and a couple of people had decent performances. Bella and Montero both had an impact when they came on. If they can stay fit for this season, they could provide to be some decent options. Kamara did have a chance to wrap it up for Fulham late on when he went through on goal, but his chance just came off the post. But in the end, Fulham doing enough to get all 3 points. A decent performance from them on the road. Then we had West Brom beating Hull by 1-0 to stay top of the Championship. Jake Livermore with the only goal of the game in this one. Another assist for Pereira, this time the ball coming from a corner kick, getting the ball out to Livermore on the edge of the box, and a cracking finish from him against his former side. Hull obviously coming into this game one of the most informed sides in the Championship, and I'd say on reflection of the whole 90 minutes, West Brom probably were the better side, but in some aspects Hull did get a little bit unlucky. You know, they did create some really good chances. Grosicki had an absolutely fantastic one in the first half when West Brom's defence just opened up. Grosicki had a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, tried to be a bit cheeky and poke it past him, but his effort just went wide. On another day he probably puts that in. Obviously Hull lately been playing with Bowen as their number 9 and then Grosicki and Bowler out wide. That's been working really well for them, and they were causing West Brom some problems, but West Brom are top of the table for a reason. And just watching some of the clips from some of the football that they're playing at the moment, absolutely fantastic to see. You know, the one-touch football in the second half for West Brom themselves, they had their fair share of chances. Romain Soy is one of the best people for that defence splitting pass. He did that in the second half, almost setting up a fantastic goal for Diangana, but his chance just went wide. But for the whole 90 minutes, I was actually quite surprised that it finished 1-0 because both sides had chances, both teams were going forward, and the 1-0 scoreline doesn't really do justice to how good this game was. But in the end, West Brom staying top of the Championship. It's hard to look past them at the moment for a clear winner this time. After that, we then had Leeds beating Blackburn by 2-1, and finally the goal drought for Patrick Bamford has come to an end. He scored from the penalty spot to give Leeds United the lead in this one. In terms of the penalty decision itself, very soft one for me. I thought that Blackburn, you know, if I was a Blackburn fan, I'd be feeling a little bit annoyed about that one. There was contact there. It was a coming together of two players. I'm not sure. Let me know down below what you thought of that one. But Bamford, to be fair to him, stuck away that one and actually set up the second goal, bringing down a long ball and setting up Jack Harrison. Harrison been in fantastic form lately to give Leeds the 2-goal lead. Williams did pull a goal back for Rovers in that first half, and Blackburn, for the majority of this one, actually defended quite well. You know, they were limiting Leeds to, you know, mostly half chances for this one, and we've seen Blackburn defensively being a little bit weak so far, but for this one they were actually set up alright. It was just that penalty early on sort of put them on the back foot. They just didn't quite have enough to go ahead and have any real quality on the counter-attack to go ahead and hurt Leeds. You know, for the second half, Leeds were looking comfortable. And Leeds, once again, I spoke about him very highly last time, but Tyler Roberts, I feel like, could really be the difference for Leeds this season. I feel like his link-up with Bamford's very good, but he's just such an intelligent player, playing in that number 10 role. I don't think it's a coincidence that Leeds have been scoring more goals since Roberts been coming back into the side. And if they can keep him fit over an entire season, get Pablo back starting as well, Leeds will have a really good shot of the top two this season. I definitely think that. But Roberts at the moment, definitely a player to watch out for. Millwall against Charlton was always going to be a feisty one. In the end, it was Matt Smith popping up with a last-minute winner to give Millwall all 3 points in this one. Things just aren't quite falling for Charlton at this point in time. But it was Hutchinson who gave Millwall an early lead in this one. This time the ball being whipped in from a free kick. And from those dead ball situations, Millwall are probably one of the most dangerous sides in the league. So them taking the lead early on obviously gave them that early boost. But Charlton came back well, and I've got to say, Bilkowski for Millwall made some absolutely fantastic saves in this one. Josh Cullen was this close to levelling things up for Charlton in the first half. You really can't get much closer than that, but Charlton went on to have other chances. In the end, Jonathan Lacko finally did manage to level things up in the second half, and when it was 1-1, the game really was in the balance. Both goalkeepers were making good saves. From that point onwards, either side could have gone to win it, and the point probably would have been fair, but saying that, you know, Millwall, when they do get that chance late on, a corner in the last minute, and you've got a player like Matt Smith in the box, he's always going to cause trouble, and in the end he did pop up with the winner, and now only 1 point separates these two sides. Charlton just 1 point better off than Millwall at this point in time. And then we had North End ending Huddersfield's unbeaten run, a result which does see North End staying in the top two for the international break. 3-1 against Huddersfield, a fantastic performance from Preston, I must say. First off, I thought that North End were playing some brilliant football. We took the lead just 4 minutes into this one. Paul Gallagher hitting the post with a free kick, and then Jaden Stockley following it in with a diving header. Stockley definitely deserving of that goal. His last last few performances since being reintroduced back into the squad, I think more than due that goal. I thought that in this game he won absolutely everything. He was absolutely dominant for this one. Alan Brown also got off the mark for this season as well. Tom Barkhuizen with a brilliant ball into the far post, and then Alan Brown with a sweeping finish. Possibly Grabber could have done a little bit better with that one, but even so, North End were in total control that first half. Huddersfield, I don't really know what the game plan was for this one. I think it didn't help them conceding that early goal, but they didn't have a shot on target for 70 minutes of this game. Going forward, they couldn't really string any sort of passages of play together, and they weren't really in a half at all. North End continued into the second half with the same intensity, and then got our 8th penalty of the season so far, which is a little bit ridiculous, but it was a definite penalty. Clear handball, and then Paul Gallagher steps up to take that and smashes it in to make it 3-0. The only real disappointment from North End's point of view was that we didn't keep the clean sheet. Bakuna, though, with an absolutely amazing run past pretty much our whole side, and then to put it in under Declan Rudd makes it 3-1. Huddersfield, I thought they looked better for the last 15 minutes. I think that when they made the changes, bringing on Meunier and bringing on Alex Pritchard, they had a little bit more about them going forward. They could play a little bit more football. But apart from that, it was quite a slack performance from Huddersfield, really. To say we picked up all 3 points in this one without the likes of Josh Harrop, Ben Pearson and Daniel Johnson is a real testament to the squad depth we got in the squad at the moment. You know, Ryan Ledson came in, I thought did brilliant filling in for Ben Pearson. Paul Gallagher ran the show for midfield. Stockley won everything, and I think that Alan Brown as well has been looking much better and much more like his usual self in the last few weeks for us. So for Preston at the moment, everything's going well. Then we had QPR drawing 2-2 with Middlesbrough in a really bizarre game at Loftus Road this time out. Middlesbrough almost took the lead through Daniel Ayala, but his goal was ruled to be offside, but they did take the lead through British Sombolonga. Both goals from QPR's standpoint I thought were quite avoidable. QPR's defensive record is starting to be a little bit of a worry now. I think they're the only side in the Football League yet to keep a clean sheet so far this season. In the league, they conceded 30 goals. Only Barnsley, who are currently bottom of the table, have conceded more than them. But it's probably unfair to be harsh on QPR because, you know, they spent nothing in the summer and they're up there battling with the teams in the top 6 at the moment. QPR's response to going behind was very good though. Naki Wells getting back amongst the goals. Middlesbrough's defence for that one really static, and then really some poor marking from a set piece allowed QPR to take the lead before half time. It was Hull with the header, Randolph made the save, but then that came back in off Howson to make it 2-1. But then more pretty much sloppy defending, and the Sombolonga managed to pounce on a poor back pass from QPR to lift it over the goalkeeper and make it 2-2. From that point onwards, both sides had chances, and it was a fairly open game where either side could have gone to win it, but finished as a 2-2 draw. Middlesbrough still sat in the bottom 3. It's clear to see that the board are backing Jonathan Woodgate and intend to stick with him for the foreseeable future. They really could have done with 3 points in this one, but they were looking much better going forward. Sombolonga grabbing 2 goals will be massive for them going forward. You know, with them currently sat in the bottom 3, it's players like a Sombolonga who are going to have to be the people to drag them out of this mess. After the international break, Borough do have some massive home games coming up against Hull and Barnsley. Then we'll really see what they're made of this season. Then we have Reading beating Luton by 3-0. Things for Luton at the moment starting to become ever more concerning as the weeks do go on, but Reading another fantastic performance under Mark Bowen, and Reading really are starting to look like the side that I thought they'd be at the start of the season. It's crazy that it took them to sack their manager for them to become this side, but at the start of the season I was talking up Reading a lot of their attacking prowess that they've got at the moment, and they're scoring a lot more goals at the moment. In this game they could have easily had about 5 goals with some of the chances they had. You know, people like Bollock I thought was unlucky not to get on the score sheet, but Morrison opened the scoring after 22 minutes. Ajoria then made it 2-0 with a fantastic finish from outside the box. The Luton players didn't know what to do with him, whether to commit and go in for a tackle or sit off him. In the end they didn't do either really, and a fantastic bending finish into the far post. Then in the second half McCleary wrapped it up with his first goal for Reading since 2017. But things under Mark Bowen, Reading are going really well at the moment. On and off the ball I think that Reading are looking really good at the moment. In terms of Luton though, another really concerning performance. I thought that the goals they conceded, especially the third one, really cheaply given away. They're another one of the sides similar to QPR who have conceded 30 goals so far this season. Only Barnsley have conceded more, and you do fear for Luton at the moment. If Stoke and Middlesbrough do actually sort themselves out, Luton are the next side who you'd feel like will be dropping into that bottom 3 unless they can sort their defence out. Then we have Sheffield Wednesday drawing 2-2 with Swansea. Sheffield Wednesday lately, they've just been a bit unlucky in the later stages of games. Obviously they threw away it last time against Blackburn in the later stages, and Swansea came up this time with a 94th minute equaliser. But overall, Wednesday played alright. They made it difficult for Swansea. They had quite a few opportunities. It was AU who did take the lead for Swansea after Westwood had fumbled across. Wednesday's reaction reaction to going behind was decent though. They had one really good chance where they should have got back into it. I think it was Murphy hitting the post from point blank range. But I thought the changes that Wednesday made in the second half had a positive impact. Reaching Forestieri coming on definitely added a lot more to them going forward. You know, Woodman had to be on his toes for this one, and it was those two substitutes really linking up for that equaliser. Reach of the shot from outside the box, which was parried by Woodman, and then Forestieri eventually managed to follow it in to make it 1-1. Fox then gets on the score sheet in the 91st minute, and it's looking like Wednesday are cruising for all 3 points. In the final stage of this one, Swansea were piling on all sorts of pressure. Westwood does make one terrific reflex save, but then the goal that Wilmot scores is Westwood a little bit weak for that one as well. He sort of flaps at the cross coming into it, and then Wilmot once again for Swansea City comes up with a clutch goal for them. Swansea on the road, I think that's a decent point at Hillsborough. It's been a tough place to go to so far this season. Sheffield Wednesday, with how the whole flow of the game went, probably will have been frustrated obviously to come from behind to be in that winning position and to throw it away late on once again. I've seen there's a bit of a debate going around the Sheffield Wednesday fans at the moment as to who should be starting after the international break. Will it be Westwood or will it be Dawson? Who would you guys have? Then we saw Brentford getting back to winning ways, putting 3 goals past Wigan. That's now 4 wins from their last 5 matches. The same can't be said about Wigan at the moment, who are perilously close to the bottom 3 going into this international break. Only 1 win from their last 5, and a really disappointing performance from Wigan, who had next to nothing going forward in this one. Brentford controlled it from minute 1 really, and Bimo opening the scoring for Brentford, who's been in fantastic form lately. 3 goals and 2 assists in his last 5 matches for Brentford. The defending from that set piece from Wigan was just strange really. Marshall made the initial save and then they managed to follow it in, but after 5 minutes the tempo of this game was set pretty much. Brentford made it 2-0 in the second half. Makacho with a nice goal, but the pick of the goals had to go for De Silva. Brilliant finish from outside the box. He had no real pressure on him and he just picked up the top corner. Wigan were down to 10 men in the second half though. Kipri was sent off for a second buckle offence after a foul on Watkins. Brentford also finished the game down to 10 men after Gene Veal was sent off after colliding with Joe Gelhardt, and then there was a bit of a scuffle between I think him and Joe Williams in the aftermath of that, and eventually he was sent off. But overall, a really complete away performance from Brentford. I thought they were looking really good for this one. In terms of Wigan, another game where they've not scored from open play and they look really fragile defensively. Quite a lot of worries with Wigan at the moment. And then to round things off on Sunday, we had Bristol City beating Cardiff by 1 goal to 0, a result which does see Bristol City sat in the top 6 going into the international break. Now for this one, it wasn't the best game of football going on this weekend in terms of sort of clear-cut chances. They were really few and far between in this one. I mean, Cardiff did hit the crossbar twice, but they were both from sort of speculative efforts. Junior Hoylett going really close in the first half with a thunderous effort, but that one coming off the crossbar, and then Bakuna in the second half also hitting the crossbar for Cardiff. But apart from that, they didn't really have any times where they got in behind Bristol City's defence and had any real openings. And they are a side who's a little bit static going forward at the moment. You know, you feel like they are one of those sides who are just in need of a little bit of an injection of something going forward at this point in time. But in the end, it was Josh Brownhill with the only goal of the game, and an absolutely thunderous effort from Brownhill outside the box. Etheridge had no chance. It was definitely one of the strikes of the week, and Bristol City managed to maintain their fantastic away record, and that sees Cardiff losing their first game at home so far this season. But that was the only difference between the two sides in this one. Ashley Williams once again for Bristol City, absolutely massive performance, and as they're now starting to get players back fit into that starting 11, we really are seeing a Bristol City side who could go toe-to-toe with the top 6 this season. But guys, they were all the games that did go on this weekend, so let me know in the comments down below what you thought of all this weekend's action. In terms of my result of the weekend, I think in terms of a result which could be massive for that club's season, I'm going to give it to Stoke for beating Barnsley by 4 goals to 2. I feel like that really could be the springboard for them moving forward now. And then in terms of my goal of the weekend, it's a 50-50 for me between Sam Clucas and Josh Brownhill. I think that I'll give it to Josh Brownhill. I gave result of the week to Stoke. It was a brilliant strike against Cardiff, only goal of the game. Absolutely thunderous effort from him. But I'll leave some polls for you guys to vote. I'm interested in seeing what you guys are saying for this weekend's action. But apart from that, that will now wrap it up for today's video. So if you're going to enjoy it, make sure you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular championship content. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.